Hello everybody, welcome back to Stan's Garage, bringing you everything you need to know for effective business IT management. In this week's video, I thought we would have ourselves a little showdown. Compare the world's most known operating systems. That would of course be Android and iOS. So as you know, the Android versus iOS debate continues to break the internet. And through it all, finding that the real test for app users and brands boils down to mobile app security. How secure a mobile app is determines how well it will do on the market. Users are increasingly more aware of data breaches and want to protect themselves from cyber threats. As most of their data now lives on their phones, they want to make sure those things are pretty well locked down. Is it, however, entirely based on the developer's use of quality assurance techniques and testing? Not really. Regardless of how long it took to design a mobile app or what approach was used in development, end result is impacted by a number of variables, one of which being the operating system you choose. And this is where the debate, Android versus iOS, comes. Who has earned the title of best security in 2022? Now, I know this is a highly subjective decision for most people. A lot of people love their iPhone and it doesn't matter. Like, they could be selling their data to China, people aren't going to give that thing up. But when it comes to security, you'd be happy to know iOS has always been the undisputed leader. This is thanks to its strict security guidelines. However, with the addition of Android Q in 2021, Google presents a glimmer of hope that it's also on the brink of becoming a brand that people can trust more with their devices and personal information. So does that mean 2022 will be the year Google's Android will emerge as the most secure in the Android versus iOS debate? Well, let's see. When we look at the major security differences between iOS and Android, there's a few interesting things to note. And regardless of your personal preference, here's some things to keep in mind. The boot up phase, when your phone starts up. Any Android app developer will tell you the Android platform includes the Linux kernel and basically based on open source solutions. Now, the application is coded in a sandbox. You will get a guaranteed secure boot up until someone hacks it, right? Every stage gets cryptographic verification of the integrity of the next stage before it occurs. So nothing loads up until it's verified the stuff that came before it was in fact legit. With the help of this set of features, Android is able to verify the boot up and make it almost impossible for compromised devices to load completely. On the other side, iOS loads up with low-level bootloader and various technical aspects of the Apple patented startup routine. They do it to make sure that bootloader has been officially validated by Apple and also won't load until everything's been verified before. I don't want to bore you with all these details, but always you're going to get update warnings. Your Apple devices get them a ton. Android gets at least a monthly security boot update. And you can usually get away with it. I know with certain vendor devices, they will force you to update eventually, but on an Android device that's not locked down particularly, you're free to not update it, and if you don't, that's gonna leave it vulnerable to attack same way as various Windows devices will. So with Apple, we see them release numerous security updates all throughout the month.
Oh!
They make it required that every user downloads the most recent security update, or they're just going to keep nagging you until you do. Apple users are well aware of the continuous notifications from the OS, making it impossible to ignore updating. This notion alone is what leads people to believe Apple's security is superior to Android. For the moment, they're probably right. Touch ID, Face ID, these are common across both platforms. Apple might have been slightly ahead of the curve, but fingerprint and facial recognition exists across both platforms. Apple, they're very particular about how they interact with these services. It's not just the touch. Apple was also first to include the face and even the iris scan. and the OS behemoth continues to pour millions of dollars into security-related technology. Let's talk a little bit about hardware integration. Unlike Apple, Android app security is solely dependent on their hardware manufacturers, right? Apple's one ecosystem. On the Android side, you got Samsung, Google, bought Motorola and they use that. There's Huawei, which has kind of been banned because of the China stuff, but there's a fractured marketplace. And some vendors are all in on security, Samsung in particular, but others may put a lower priority on it. In general, devices that fall into the high-end price point have more security features than those that are on the lower end, right? It's kind of common sense. Apple, on the other hand, which only has a high-end price point and full control over its hardware, keep it locked down, and they put the R&D into it, which leads you to believe that they're going to keep that edge. Then there's device fragmentation. Files are stored in various areas of memory throughout the storage on the device. The more fragmentation there is, the more likely there are to be gaps that leave space for hacking and data breaching in the physical storage of these devices. Apple minimizes this by keeping its devices and operating systems less fragmented, right? All the files are kind of in one place. It's not really the case with Android because of the number of device variants, different OSs, just a variety of items could leave them a little bit more susceptible. And of course, we've got the old App Store. Without question, Apple has more control over the apps, including approval and how much money they take out of them. The company takes the right to approve, reject, remove any app. If you've seen the Uber show, you see what kind of iron fist they wield over their app store. And companies got to play by Apple's rules, and that includes security. Google and its Android Play Store didn't have such strict guidelines, but recently, it's like 2017, roughly 5 years ago, Google started using some machine learning to detect and remove faulty or fraudulent apps from the Play Store. And that was their first attempt at mitigating malicious threats, in addition to urging their developers to focus on security and app development. Now, the approval process in the Play Store as well becomes more extensive in order to test every aspect of an application before allowing it to go live. However, because Android is an open ecosystem, these efforts have significant impact on security, and apps can still be downloaded from places other than the Play Store, so it's kind of hard to lock them down. So as you can see, there are a lot of differences between Apple and Android when it comes to security. That being said, there are some specific factors we should care about, the major deal breakers in all these, and this is what you ought to keep in mind. First of all, there is marketplace security. For Android, there's the Play Store. Play Store has a much larger selection than the App Store, which is both a benefit and a drawback. While diversity provides Android users with a large number of options, it also provides hackers with a large number of opportunities to leave malware programs among the millions of legitimate applications. Apple, on the other hand, monitors the App Store like a hawk. This level of scrutiny that each app must undergo does end up limiting the number of options available to users while reducing the threat of malware attacks. Plus, being on Apple is a lot more profitable, so most of the best apps are there anyway. Weigh that as you will, but the overall consensus gives the marketplace win to Apple as well. And then we're going to talk platform popularity. There are a lot more Android devices because they're less expensive, easier to produce, and all over the world is not the United States where everyone gets an iPhone. Apple, by sheer volume, comes in second, but by profitability, they're first by a fairly wide margin. Outside of the US and Japan, there are physically much more in terms of deployed Android devices than iOS. But the more popular a platform becomes, the more users it attracts, and ultimately the more risk there is of a security breach. However, giving Android app security a lower score only because of its popularity doesn't sound right. Due to the increasing number of users, the Android app developer community has begun to place a greater emphasis on integrating the best mobile app security practices to deliver hack-proof apps. So, Then think about the device manufacturer account. There's one thing that's keeping Android behind Apple in terms of your Android versus Apple security debate. It's the hacks that are directly related to their high device manufacturer account. Because different devices prioritize different security features, it's impossible for Google to lay out a consistent set of protocols for all its partnered OEMs, with thousands of devices under its umbrella to follow. Apple simply has never had to face this issue because of the tight control they have over device production. It's not like someone else is going to be out there making an iPhone. Let's talk a little bit about source code security as well. The truth is that both operating systems enlist very similar security features. But while Apple keeps a tight grasp on its source code and functionality, Android's open source, and it makes it harder to secure as a result. The code is out there. People can kind of do bad things with it if they know what to do there.
Yeah, boy,
As an alternative, Google tries to close the gap by hiring hackers to identify the source of attacks. They also increase the payout they are willing to offer year after year to those who will report these new vulnerabilities. To boost its appearance, Google has added Google Play Protect in the Play Store. They did this in hopes of providing a stronger sense of security among Android users. This feature, which came out with Android O, acts as a virus scanner for apps, ensuring that harmful content is not downloaded to your device. A move that comes as a huge relief to top Android app development companies who struggle to keep up with the rising threat of mobile malware attacks. So despite the fact that Google's Play Store security is already available, the feedback of its device update is fairly negative for the Android security versus iOS security argument. Android will continue to release security fixes on a monthly basis. However, while Pixel and Nexus users may receive upgrades immediately, other phone manufacturers continue to delay and skip the updates entirely. Thousands of Android devices will continue to be vulnerable to big hacks like stage fright, heartbleed, because they are running outdated software. With some of the biggest security breaches in the last year, 2022 will see faster updates taking a prominent role. Android is already behind in the updated world if you don't have a stock device. Apple, on the other hand, has been consistently improving their security year after year, especially with its Touch ID and Face ID software. They're taking device security to the next level. But ultimately, the security of Android versus iOS rests on their users. It's your devices that need to be protected overall, so take some steps into your own hands. Here are some things I would tell my own clients to remember. Use the app stores that are native to your device. Don't install an app unless you've verified its safety. Update the OS versions when they become available. Set up a remote wiping facility and turn on multi-factor authentication. As always, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Who do you think wins the Google Android versus Apple iOS security debate? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to discuss some best use practices with mobile devices in terms of security and other implementation for your business, feel free to book a time with me via the Calendly link below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.